I want to just explain Latinos in Action from its inception to where we're at right now in a little short time. One of the key things for me is that Latinos in Action is a familia. Not only that, but it's also deep rooted in principles and values, and many of which have come from my mother and from my familia. So I want to briefly talk about my experience growing up and how it helped me now, which is how to create Latinos in Action, how it started. Well, a lot of it started from the values and principles that I received growing up. And so one of the key things that I want to make sure our youth always understand is that we have to be grateful for those who really gave us the opportunity to be here, right? So I start with my mother. My mother's an incredible, hardworking woman. I was born in El Salvador. She had to make some amazing, incredible decisions at that age of 19. No English, third grade education. She fled El Salvador. It was war-torn. She left us there for 3 years and then sent for us later, that's a difficult thing for a mother to do. Swam, Trunco Car Desert, humiliating things that they have to go through in the name of freedom and also for our education. And I think that everybody, no matter where, if you're Caucasian, Latino, African American, somebody at one point gave up everything so that you could actually have what you have today. And I want our youth to always remember and understand that like this tree, we're deep rooted and there's some amazing roots and we can't forget those. Those are also important and a big part of us. Cultura is amazing, and I want our youth to never forget where they come from, never forget their two languages, which a lot of them do have, and they're bicultural. There's just two different, I would say, fields and markets out there for you to take advantage of. Latinos in Action, a lot of what we do is a lot of what helped me as a young man, as a kid, and also as a youth. When I got to the United States, I had to learn English, and it was a tough thing to do. But I had amazing people that guided me. One being Miss Yard, a fifth grade teacher that really believed and instilled in me confidence. And the way she did that is by helping me every single day, making me feel good, like a champion, right? She would just always make me feel like a rock star, even though I wasn't the most brilliant person, but she made me feel like a genius. One day she told me that PH was an F sound, and I'm like, well, how do you get an F sound out of PH? But somehow she knew I would study it. So she said, here's a book, I want you to go home and read it. So I went home. Usually we go out, but that day it was raining. And so I didn't go out and play with my boys. I actually stayed in my bedroom and I saw the book. I didn't want to read it. I didn't want to read textbooks, and I think educators will understand this. Many of our ESL students or even our students don't like textbooks because there's not a lot of pictures sometimes, or maybe they don't know how to read the words. Well, this day I knew how to read the word. It was photosynthesis. Plus, I had a mean old crush on Miss Yard. I thought she was beautiful, so I was going to do everything she asked me to do. So I started reading about photosynthesis, and I got to tell you, I thought, wow, so trees, plants, they could create their own food inside. Like they could make tamales in there, they could make in and out. I just kind of ate up the process, and I loved it, and I thought, wow, this is cool. So that little word, pH, photosynthesis, opened up a world of science to me. I loved it, like I ate it up. I went to class the next day and I felt like I knew what the class was talking about, first of all, which was surprising because I never knew. I was always lost in class. The teacher said, does anybody know what photosynthesis is? I stood up and said, photosynthesis is the process in which plants create their own foods through the sun's rays, through chlorophyll. I went through the whole process and everybody was staring at me and I was like, yes. And it was this amazing feeling of, man, I'm an expert in something. I actually am smart. And it was one of the first times that I actually felt smart. And it's sad that it took me up to fifth grade to actually feel that. But that teacher created that environment and also created that stage. So in the LIA, Latinos in Action, as educators, that's what we're trying to do, is create stages wherein our youth, who are brilliant and who come with so much and assets and schema that is amazing, we want them to use all that in their physics, in their science classes, in anything they do. We want them to infuse all those assets. But in order for them to do that, we have to build their confidence. That's why we build the stage where they can go and mentor younger elementary students, right? When they mentor younger elementary students, they feel like experts. Because even an ESL student at a high school level can teach a first grader or a kindergartner basic skill sets for reading, and then learn and grow and also feel like they're contributing. When anybody wants to feel like they're contributing, they also want to feel like they're smart. So in LIA, if we create that right stage, these kids are going to bloom. They're going to be running with confidence. So we build that skill set and scaffold it so that they then can get involved in Latinos in Action. One of the key things is that you have to be involved in an extracurricular activity. And by the semester, if you're not, you might have to pick a different class. So a lot of them want to get involved. We want to coerce that. We want to get them out of their comfort zones, like somebody did with me. When I was in high school as an 8th grader, I had this coach that was incredible. He's a wrestling coach, right? And he really made me feel like I could be a star. He actually told me, I can make you a star. And I was like, okay, let's do this, right? He brought me into the wrestling room and I learned so much. And little by little, I began to get a network of friends. And then some of them played football, and I went to play football, and some of them ran track. So I ran track. And so all of a sudden, my network went from maybe 10, 15 ESL students to hundreds of students that I now knew and could speak with me. My vocab increased tremendously, really quick, because of the extracurricular activities. This is why it's important that our youth, our Latinos in Action, are involved. We also have them do service. I was in student council because I was coerced by my friends. Come join this, right? Come join this club. And so I did a lot of service, and service was what made me feel amazing. And it also gave me confidence to do more. This is why we also do service in Latinos in Action, because I really feel that it allows for our youth not only to bloom inside, but now they're natural. They're, even as college students and as professionals, they're going to want to serve. If we instill in that at a young age, they're always going to be service oriented. So that's why we have it in Latinos in Action. But I also had to really be cognizant that I knew that I wasn't going to these honors classes. So I kind of took myself out of ESL through a different counselor. I asked her to make me a different schedule, and she did, and didn't tell my old counselor what I had done. So then I just went to honors classes with a lot of my Chinito friends and my Pakistani friends, and they showed me and really taught me how to study, and that's how I grew, right? So one of the key things within our curriculum is also to get involved academically in honors and or extracurricular clubs like National Honor Society, Mesa Club, all these things that can help you academically as well. And the other thing is that as they serve the younger kids, they're learning a lot as well. So those are all key components to Latinos in Action. All key components that came from experiences I had growing up and going through high school. These are things that I infused into what is now Latinos in Action. I got a full ride scholarship to Brigham Young University in wrestling. I'm still grateful for that opportunity. It was my ticket out of LA to Utah. BYU became just a learning ground for me. I had never seen anything like it. The mountains, the canyons, learned a lot. So when I went to teach, because I went into education, I saw the need. At Timothy High School was my first high school. All the Latinos were not involved. They were not getting going into honors and so forth. So I saw the need, and I went to my principal and I said, I want to start this class. And I said, what is it? I said, I want to call it Latinos in Action. Give me 35 kids. We'll start with Spanish for natives. I began to teach them about Latino heroes and saw that we can teach our kids about heroes or we can create our own. And that's where the inception of Latinos in Action came from. Went back to my principal and I said, I want to turn this class into this, and I don't want to teach them about heroes. I want to create our own heroes through service, through leadership, through being a part of the community, and getting them not only to graduate and go to college, but to finish college. That's how we create our own leaders. And that I invite you, and I implore, I ask you to please create leaders from within your schools. These youth are hungry and they're willing and waiting for more if we create the stage wherein they can showcase their talents.